So today we'll be talking about the three biggest mistakes I made when I started my tracking business. And if you are interested in going into trucking, avoid them at all cost. When we when we decided to record this video specifically or create this live specifically for people who are going into trucking. So this will be more of a like, hey, I want to go into trucking. Maybe you're a broker, and I'm like, hey, I want to be a carrier. Maybe you are an independent freight dispatcher moving or merging into becoming a carrier. So today. I'll be sharing something very important. I made these three mistakes, and I clearly said it. And when I was planning with my team, and I said, listen, I think we need to create a title for this live training, specifically saying the three biggest mistakes. One of the reasons why I say this is because when people going into trucking, they're making a lot of problems, obviously, right? There are a lot of problems buying maybe a wrong truck or something like that, financing with the wrong lender, something like that. I'll give you an example. Instead of working with Bank of America, maybe there is a small lender that can lend you money, and then you can start your trucking business. Small mistakes could be, you know, daily operation inside your business. You can make, I don't know, I have this website, but I, forgot to do this, or it's not generating any leads for me. I'm not talking about those mistakes. I'm really talking about the biggest mistakes that people are making. And because of that, they're going into thousands, maybe some people out there millions. And I do have those people that go into the millions of debts and obviously filing bankruptcies. There are a lot of problems. So why and what's the reason behind this? I searched it online and I watched a couple of videos that the people going into trucking. Obviously, there are not many videos out there, people sharing this biggest mistakes that they did. Like, hey, I just, maybe I'm assuming they just can't share. I don't know. But then, hey, I bought this truck. I made a mistake. Don't buy this Freightliner, quote unquote, buy a, I don't know, Volvo. Or I did buy a Volvo, but then don't buy a Volvo, buy a Freightliner. I'm not talking about those mistakes, but really big mistakes that they're really internal and you don't want to share with the world, but then you have to. So when you watch this and watch me explaining these three biggest mistakes that I did, some will be very like that will be the aha moment for most of you, maybe that, oh wow, maybe there are carriers out there like, hey, I did that mistake, man, and I see that there are a lot of people making that mistake. I just want you to feel that you're not alone, but there are people, they're going into the trucking, specifically becoming carriers. Maybe there is a driver right now. Hey, I'm away from my family. I don't want to drive, but then I love trucking. I want to stay in the trucking industry. What should I do? Should I dispatch? Should I buy a truck? Or like what path to take? And I do see that a lot of people charging thousands of dollars for just giving that information to people. For me, it's just like, hey, you can learn for free, right? This is why we have internet, and more than internet, what we have is the community, right? So we have, thank you guys, we have 40, almost 43,000 subscribers. We're a community. These people who subscribe to this channel, these are the people who are interested in the transportation, more specifically in trucking. So don't treat this channel as just like, hey, I teach people or I can learn how to become independent freight dispatcher. There is a dispatch truck channel. Let me go there and learn from that channel. No, absolutely not. Although we teach people how to become independent freight dispatchers, so the end goal with this channel is serving people in the trucking industry. I was a carrier and I made a lot of mistakes and I failed it, to be honest with you. And I don't, I have no shame to share with you guys that I failed it. And there are many reasons out there. I think these are the three biggest mistakes that I made. And because of this, I failed my trucking business. Right. So without further ado, let's start with the mistake number one. The mistake number one, obviously, straight to the buying of trucks. I'm not talking about the straight box truck. I'm talking about, hey, when you decided to buy a truck, that was me. When I decided to buy a truck, I was like, hey, I'm ready. I'll just go and buy a truck. That's it. And I bought a second truck and I buy a third, fourth, and then this is how I grow my business. And that was the one of the biggest mistakes that I made. Backstory, there's a little bit of story. I think this story will help you. When I was in school in um university studying psychology. Now obviously I was broke and I want to do something with my life. Obviously, hey, there a lot of years that I need to study, then work for somebody. I don't know if I can make it. In starting my business, that was the best decision that I ever made. Like, hey, I want to start a business. When I decided that, a lot of in my community, a lot of people, friends and families, they are into trucking. And what I see right and left, people into the trucking. They buy a truck, they get their CDLs, they drive, then they buying a second truck, third truck, growing 20, 40 trucks, and they make millions. That was the aha moment for me. It's just like, man, listen, instead of and again, I'm not saying that don't go study, don't study. The education is sucks. I don't say that, right? But that's my story. That's what I felt. And it felt really weird inside. It's like, man, one of my friends, he didn't go to school, right? So I'm about to finish my school, but then I'm broke. But then this guy didn't go to school, but then he drives really nice car. He bought two, three houses already, sharing with his families. Bought the house for sister. Bought the house for for one of his brothers. I was like, wow. And I barely afford living month to month, and these people just buying right and left all the things they want, but I can't. That was the I think it's just like I'm not gonna study anymore. I'll just drop out of the college and then go study how to do a business, so to speak. So that was the idea. And then one of my best friends, I just called him and I said, listen, he was into car hauling business. And I said, listen, I really want to know this. I want to learn the dispatching. And well, he's an awesome guy. He said, yes, you can start whatever the date you want. Just come in and I will just personally teach you ins and outs of this business. I learned the business, obviously, the business meaning the dispatching side of it. That means I became really good at finding loads, booking loads, and dispatching loads. It just that. But he was a really busy guy. Think about 25 car haulers that a lot of he had his in the office people up 6 7 people in the office that a lot of also had the terminal truck terminal where a lot of trucks parking. He's just a really busy guy. He spends about hour or two just sort of his one of his best friends saying, hey, do this and you'll be fine. But I did not learn the business aspect of it. What I learned is the dispatching side of it. And a lot of students, when they come into my world and they're like, hey, Kamal, can I work for you and then, learn and then I'll just go and do the business. And I feel that. But I like, okay, I can't do that. But you can work for carriers if you wanted to. But the downside with this is they will just teach you how to find loads, finding a load, booking a load, and dispatching a load, how to use load boards, but they won't teach you the business aspect of it. That's the mistake. So I was really good at dispatching, and I thought, that's it, I'm ready. I'll just buy a truck. That was the mistake. So if I just, I should have done the things differently, and I will explain this just because this is very personal. Instead of going into buying a truck, finding a truck, and the first truck was in Austin, Texas. And instead of buying a truck, I should have done things differently. And here's how: I should have dispatched other people's trucks first, learning the business ins and outs of it. But I was dispatching for this guy, but helping him, but I wasn't learning the the business aspect of it, because business by itself is huge. And I always say this, then one of the main reasons, I think the three biggest reasons on top of my mistakes that I made, but the failing reasons is just because trucking is highly regulated, capital intensive business, right? And it's brutally, into this one is huge and brutally competitive business. Nobody talked about this. The only thing I know, I want to buy a truck, hire a driver, and then buy a second truck, buy a third truck, fourth, and then this is how I grow. If I don't know how to build a business, I don't know anything about systemizing my business, I don't know anything about management, what am I doing? Like, it's just the idea when I look at people driving nice cars, living in the nice houses, they have money, and then they're like, man, I want to be like them, right? That's the influence. That's the conformity. I was like, I want to be like them, and I want to buy that. How they started. They bought the truck, and then they bought the second truck, and then this is how they grew. This is I think this is you will never find on the internet, that nobody will share this. Listen, based on what I saw, the people who bought the truck, the first truck, second truck, majority, 99% of the time, those people who have people around him. More specifically, maybe it's a huge family, like two, three, four brothers helping each other, and then they will just go buy a truck, and then another, brother maybe dispatching, another is just doing the, I don't know, marketing or something like that. It's just like group of people. That's what I realized. So in the town where I live, that's what I saw. At least 10, 15 families. This is what I see. Bigger families, they were winning. I was like myself, and I'm going into buying the equipment that costs thousands of dollars, and without thinking about how am I going to grow this business. Like, okay, I will just buy this truck. Then what would be the next step? Well, the next step logically makes sense that you need a driver for this, but then it's not easy to find a driver, right? So those are the mistakes that people are making when they're going into the trucking. So if you are going into trucking, maybe you in the trucking already and you want to switch gears a little bit, maybe you can learn from this. But then this video will help and benefit those people who are just going into the trucking, more specifically becoming carriers. And I do see a lot of my students, they're going into the trucking, meaning becoming a carrier. Like, I want to, get my MC and obviously buy trucks, and that's it. Move from there. Maybe ultimate goal is becoming, I don't know, maybe 20, 50, hundreds of trucks. It's just mega carry or something like that. It's not easy, obviously. So that's the biggest mistake. That one of the biggest mistakes that I have is just straight buying a truck. So that was a mistake. And again, I mentioned it, why it's a mistake is because I didn't know the business side of it. I was alone, just like, hey, I want to just go in and buy a truck, and then it costs thousands of dollars. So what would be an alternative? What should I do if I'm not gonna, go buy a truck? Dispatch other people's trucks first, learn the business, then invest whatever you made the money and go buy a truck. By then, at least if you're dispatching for a year, now you know that, okay, so this is how it works. So this guy that I'm, dispatching, the owner operator, he made this and that, and this is how he operates. And you will quickly learn that not many carriers, they run the business the way it should be. Not many people know this business, and you'll be amazed if you're just going into the trucking. You will be amazed that not many people know the compliance side of it. It's just the only thing. And again, I was there. I just fall into this trap, and I know it's just all about the money and how quickly you can, go there. Just buy a truck, hire somebody, or drive yourself. Then second truck, third truck, and then this is how you grow your business. That's the step number. I mean, the mistake number one. Don't buy a truck. So if you're like, hey, I have excess money on my bank account and I can invest, I have no problem. More power to you. Even then I wouldn't just spend or invest my money. I'll just always, focus on dispatching other people's trucks, then move on. Why? The biggest part is learning the business itself. It's huge. So then, mistake number two. Some people may just get confused about this. Financing my trucks. Man, if I decide to buy a truck and I want to finance my trucks with the small lenders, when I started my business, I basically financed. So we didn't have the enough money, I would say, for down payment, and we borrowed money from. And I say we, and then mistake number three, it's coming. So we, borrow the money from friends and families, and it's a lot of money for a down payment, especially when you're starting out with a new MC. It's hard. And again, guys, I want you to remember one thing: is it's not discouraging you saying don't go into trucking. I believe that a lot of people making a lot of money being in the trucking, especially right now, it's the negative thinking side of it, especially right now, right? Market shifted. There's a lot of contractions. The market, market circulating with the people using different languages. But I'm not going into that trap. I'm just saying that it's hard right now for carriers out there. So financing is like especially as I said, when you have new MC, and there are a lot of obviously taxes and brokers there. Majority of brokers, they're not working with new MC because of the risk, something like that, and that's a huge. And again, not to discourage you, I encourage people to start their businesses, and this is how we get there, right? Get there is just basically for everybody is different. Some people just maybe financial freedom, independence. Somebody just wants to travel, kids in college or something like that. I realize that we need businesses and use business as a vehicle to get there faster. That's what I think. That's what I believe. In financing my trucks, and we started searching, and not many people, obviously, and because of the credit score, whatnot, you are a new company, not many people willing to give the money. It's huge. And a lot of carriers, and here you can guys share your story as well. It's not easy. It's not easy to get finance. And on top of that, it's not easy to get insurance. And when you get that financed and obviously got the insurance, now it's hard to work with brokers because they're not willing to work with you. The only reason why I share this is just I want you to avoid these mistakes and be prepared. To be prepared the game you're about to play, right? So a lot of people, and if you can go to FMCSA and do the new search, and you will see how many carriers just this month alone, how many carriers, the new carriers, new authorities out there. You will be amazed. It's just shocking. A lot of people out there complain that trucking is the end of the trucking era. Trucking it's trash right now. There are a lot of people sharing their opinions, but then on the other hand, there are a lot of people going into business, right? Just it's a warning. It's just just treat this as just a training, right? Somebody sharing the mistakes that this guy made when he started his trucking business. Oh, I don't want to do that. Oh, I realized that there is a way. That was my problem. That was the barrier. And I can't go there because I can't finance my cars. Well, you don't have to. Then what's the solution? That's mistake number two I made. The first one, obviously, bought directly. I decided to buy a truck. Then second, obviously, is financing my trucks. And this mistake is attached to mistake number one. When I said dispatching other people's, and obviously you're not doing for free, right? So when I closed the trucking side of my business, I'm just kind of jumping, but then I want to make something clear. When I started dispatching other people's trucks, I realized that wow, this is very lucrative business. This is how I can make money. You will see, do research, just watch YouTube videos. Did a lot of YouTube videos, and you will see there are legit companies that teaching people, and you will see that these people making millions by dispatching other people's trucks, and they're making millions of dollars. And when you have those millions of dollars, quote unquote, right? And I'm just throwing some numbers to just bring the idea across, or just make the point. When you make that money, instead of using banks money or lenders money, right, use your own money. And then now it's like, okay, I'm not going into buying a $200,000 truck or something like that. But remember, you can always buy a used truck and start you know moving stuff and see how that goes. And then maybe then you will realize that, oh wow, I was thinking about financing $200,000, truck, and then another maybe 50, 60, or maybe even hundreds, $100,000 a trailer. Now I'm like $300,000 into the debt by realizing that this is not for me. It's not working. That's what I did. I was like, no, I'm not gonna buy brand new truck. The second truck was brand new, but then first truck it was used. It's like man, we borrowed a lot of money already because we didn't have money for the down payment. Well, we can use this at half of the money, and we can just get another half from the lenders. It was a mistake, but I knew how to dispatch. I should have done things differently, right? So dispatching it, making money, and then obviously invest your own money. Basically, here is an idea of just becoming your own lender, becoming your own bank, not using other people's, money when you're starting at least your first truck. And why I say this? Because when I went into this business, when I started this business, and I quickly realized when I bought second truck, and we like maybe Q3 or something like that. And it was like, wow, I don't think this is gonna work. It's highly regulated, brutally competitive, and capital intensive business. I can't do that. But then the money that I owed to lenders, it pushed me forward. But then I failed it anyway. Right? It was just hard on me. Right. So that's the mistake number two. Financing trucks with lenders. Use your own money by dispatching other people's trucks. At least don't borrow the money for the down payment. At least you can make money on down payment so that you can use your money and then get the truck you need. Buy the used truck. And again, just this isn't just the ideas that I'm sharing with you. And this number mistake number two that I made. It cost me thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Right? Lenders even can sue you for not paying. If you can't make payments, they can't wait, right? So it will be hard on you. Just be careful. So that's the mistake number two. And then now moving on to mistake number three. I talked about something, and I don't want to confuse you guys. The mistake number three that I did, I had a partner. A lot of students asking this question, Kamal, well, I have a daughter, I have my husband, I have this X, Y, and Z. I get that. I was there. I feel you. I know it feels right. Nobody can convince you saying that don't do that. Nobody, right? It's just like you in your own mind. That's it. Partnering with friends and families more specifically. Remember, I said the mistake number one when buying trucks, and then the people successful at working with families. If you remember that, I didn't say partnering with them. I did not say partnering with them. I said that you can hire them, right? If they want to leave, then they can leave. So I had these two brothers that working together. I know, closely, and just younger brother just said, "Man, this is not for me. I don't want to drive. That's it." And then he left. Imagine what would have happened when they partnered and they have the share in this business. They will just, tear or break the, business into small pieces. Think about, right? So when I bought first, and again, see, like these three mistakes, they tied into each other. The first one, when buying a truck, and who will be my driver, and I had one of my best friends. He was working 9 to 5 back then, and I convinced him basically saying, "Hey, I'm going to buy a truck, and I will just borrow the money from friends and families. You don't have to. The only thing is just like come and drive for me, and I'll pay you whatever the percentage, the per mile, whatever you need, I will pay you." And it seems like this guy is not into business mind. He's not into entrepreneurship, and that entrepreneurship is totally, different topic for another day. It's just like it's a battle day in day out, right? It's not about just like you relaxed and passively money comes in or flows at you. It absolutely not. If you're working 9 to 5, if you're becoming an entrepreneur, then you're basically working, I don't know, 198 hours per week or something like that. You get the idea. So this guy, I quickly realized that he's not into business. But more were like, hey, if you can pay this, if you can do that, I can do. But then he's making about 4K back then, and he's like making a decent, living. And it's like, I don't know, man. If I can, if I quit, what will happen? What if this? What if? I was just tired, like answering these questions. Like, listen, if we win, we win together. If I fail, we will. If we fail, we just fail together. What do you mean? I'll give you the 50% of my, business. Let's go. And he was excited. He was excited, and I said, "Listen, I just, dropping out of the college. I paid thousands of dollars. I'm about to finish the college, but then I'm just going into this." And he realized that I'm, that serious. He's like, "Okay, I'm quitting. Let's go." And that was my biggest mistake. The one of the biggest mistakes. That's the biggest mistake. The number three, right? Mistake number three. It's partnering with friends. I did not, and there are a lot of people just did a lot of lawsuits. I had one of my friends. Man, it was really hard on him. It was a family business. It's just like, man, for him, it's a history now. But that was huge for him. And what this guy was one of my best friends. Think about one of my best buddies, day in, day out, always together. And we're working, we're making money, and then trucking is just roller coaster. You make money, you lose money, you make money, you lose money. And before the COVID, things started slowing down. And this guy just scared, like, man, I want to feed my family. And he has a huge, family. And then, like, I want to feed. I really want to feed these, people. Come on, we need to make money. I'm like, I can't do anything. That's the market, right? And you will realize that when you know people, like this guy is an awesome guy. This I'm not saying that I'm perfect, but you get the idea. You like people can change, and you'll be amazed. You'll be shocked. These people will turn 360, and you will see the dark side of the people that you love, admire, and you're basically ready to just die with them. And now you realize that this guy is totally different, and he's ready to destroy you. That was huge for me. That was really, really huge for me, and I didn't want to lose him. But again, this is business, and as that's one of the reasons why I lost him is because he wasn't a business minded guy. And then if we're talking about this week, for example, the next week, one of our drivers was hit by a car in California. We received the call, and the only thing I was asking the police officer to say, "Is he alive?" Right. So this is when he was shocked and he was scared. Now maybe he's just over exaggerating in his mind, like, I'm losing my house, I'm losing this, I'm losing that. I'm like, man, just relax, calm down. We have insurance, we have this. The only thing is just like, hey, is this guy alive? We just bought the ticket and we flew to California. It's a true story. The people that know me closely, they know that this happened. And when we were flying, and he said something really interesting. He's like, "What do you think? It's not working. I think we should quit." I was like, "I'm not quitting." Well, this is part of the business. Things can happen. Like, let's go and figure it out. And that was the first, I think, signal. It's just like, I'm ready to leave and just be prepared. And I didn't take that seriously. And again, mistake. Well, the initial mistake was partnering with him. But I could have just easily paid him a lot of money saying, just, hey, listen, you are a driver. And if you don't want to drive for me, I was like, man, thank you. Just let's stay like good buddies and just work for somebody. I just can't pay whatever the money you need. It's just I'm struggling. Just leave. But now he tied into business. He can't leave, right? So there are some consequences. We borrowed money. We need to pay back. And we have a lot of promises. We're dreaming big. And when we came from, we visited the guy. Thank God he's okay. So that guy sued us, and that guy sued us, and insurance paid a lot of money. And what will happen next? Insurance closed on us. It's just like, man, we can't take any more risks. Gone. By then, we had 4 trucks. Imagine what would happen to this guy. Guy just like blown away. We can't drive. Insurance is gone. Imagine, just for a second, imagine what's happening in our lives. Like, we owe thousands of dollars. We have these trucks sitting on our parking lot. There are a couple of drivers out there that we need to pay, and then there's office rent came in, and one of our trucks, that something happened with engine, and it's about $8,000. And then the other truck is just like transmission problem. And this guy, he's living, right? He's like, I want to leave, and obviously he needs money because I convince him so that we will be making money. We can't find insurance, and if we wanted to find an insurance, it's just like the premium is high. Just I can't afford paying that much money. And insurance companies, right and left, they're just declining. What would you do if you like? What would you do in this case? Like, what I was thinking is just maybe I can just give away this business free so that I can free myself from this business. So, like, take these trucks, man. I can't make it. Just take these trucks, and it's just like punch after punch, punch after punch. That's how I felt back then. Like, whatever you look, right? It's just like things coming at you. And when insurance paid a lot of money to this driver, and we couldn't do anything, right? Just that's it. We don't have insurance policy. You're out of business. What I'm trying to say is that when you going into business, think about the biggest player in this business is insurance. Think about you have maybe 5 or 6 or 7 trucks. Think about, and God forbid, things can happen. In trucking, anything at any time, something can happen. And then insurance just gives up on you. What will happen? Like, immediately, you must stop your trucks. That's it. You can't move. You can't do anything. Towing, a lot of money, a lot of expenses. Bring your trucks back. Do whatever you want. That's it. But at the same time, lenders knocking your doors. They need money. Hey, we'll lend you money. We need to pay, and then you can't pay because you can't operate. And thank God, and this is why we are one of we're best friends with, as far as company wise goes, with the OTR Capital. Back then it was OTR Capital, and now OTR Solutions. And I realized when I was talking to Nick, I said, Nick, I don't want to give up. And by now, this guy is gone, meaning my partner. He just left me. He's just like, that's it. Take everything yours. I'm done. That's it. Think about, like, everything on my shoulder. I'm like, what can I do? Like, what should I do? I was puzzled, and I was talking to Nick. I remember I was talking to Nick, and Nick, thank God, was with his, I think they are strategic partners with Marquee Insurance, and Marquee Insurance helped me find a policy, that, thank God, that I can afford, right? And I was like, man, I need to just restart these trucks. And by then, it was about 4 months into, like, trucks are in my parking lot. I'm bleeding money, thousands of dollars. I'm just almost below zero. And thank God we got the insurance policy because OTR Solutions helped us. Back then was OTR Capital. They rebranded. Now the company name is OTR Solutions. So we got the insurance policy, and we started obviously running, and I'm paying a lot of money to drivers. And then this is what will happen when you pay a lot of money to drivers so that you can drive, but then you will realize that you're not making any money. It's better for you to work 9 to 5 than just working in this mess. And then by then I realized that it's not happening, right? And then COVID hit. And COVID hit, that was a total nightmare. Trucks repossessed, trailers repossessed, and I don't think somebody will share this. You feel like you're a failure. I'm not embarrassed by sharing this. I was just like, hey, I'm sharing because don't do those mistakes. Learn from my mistakes. And that's what happened when COVID hit. Drivers not driving, paid $10 per mile. They won't. They scared. I totally understand that. And then I start calling my lenders, like, hey, it's not happening. I can't pay, and this is what it is. One of my lenders, I remember, they gave us about 6 months not to pay, so that they can add this 6 month, and then you will pay later. It's just favoring, and they're not supporting you. They just basically, another strategy is because they don't know what to do with the trucks. When you're like, hey, I don't need this trucks. Like, what should I do? Just take it away. If they take it away, the only thing they will do is just auction. To put them in an auction and then sell for, I don't know, if you owe 100,000 for this truck, and then it will sell you whatever the price they give an auction, let's say 60, 70, and it will sell it, and then that $30,000 different, it's on you. And how they will get it, they will sue you. You will see that, yeah, they will sue you, and then they will do everything possible to get money out of your account. That's huge. And again, one of the reasons why I share this is because learn from my mistakes. And I really decided to, switching the gears. And again, that's another story. But then switching gears, meaning in moving into um, different business model where I started teaching, because I know that there are awesome people out there. They can do amazing things. And I was like, man, if I can teach them and show them, and at the same time, like, show my mistakes, share my mistakes with them, say, don't do that, do this. There are a lot of opportunities if you do this. And the people who started taking seriously, now they're making, not going into like monetary side of it, like how much they're making, but they're successful. Because if I can't do, for example, if I can't run a trucking company, I couldn't, right? I tried my best, and it's not happening. You're bleeding money, but you're really good at something. I think that's the signal. It's like, hey, it's not working for you because you're better at something. I'm better, maybe, I'm assuming, quote unquote, that I'm maybe better at teaching people, sharing the knowledge that I have with the world. And obviously, they take this knowledge and they will do amazing stuff. When I started teaching people, and I literally, like, owner operator working for a guy, and an owner operator that worked for me, and I remember that guy when he came from a trip. It was about, I don't know, almost a month away from his family. It was when he came back, while his wife was in the car waiting with his daughter, waiting for him. And then he came, and just like they hugged each other, and then they came into the officer because I should pay him for the trip. And he was like, man, I'm done. I'm not gonna drive. Like, I have this pain, that pain, and the biggest pain I have is just away from these people that I love. And just hit me, and it's like, well, listen, you're making a lot of money. I totally get it, but then what can I do for you? He's like, teach me what you do. You are in the office, basically dispatching. I want to learn this, and this is how it started. And I started teaching him. I'm like, hey, okay, just come tomorrow, or enjoy the time with your family, and come back, let's say, on Monday, and let me do, the teaching. That was the first guy. And then second, and I don't know, maybe it's a word of mouth or something like that. And there was a lady came to my life that it's changed totally everything for me. And English was third language. We, have this English, problem. And English is my third language as well. And I taught her like everything I know, and she started dispatching, then moved into box truck, then it moved into semi trucks, and she's successful. That's what happened. Guys, be prepared. If you're going into becoming a carrier, learn from my mistakes. So I think this is a good time right now. Um, just taking the questions. Kevin says, "Wow, thank you for sharing such a personal story, so we can learn." You're welcome, Kevin. Absolutely. So, yeah, this is what I thought. And Camille says, "Thank you for sharing." Absolutely, you're welcome. And it's everything is like boils down to like what you're good at. If I'm good at teaching, and again, if I were to give you an example, I would like, man, I have a one of my friends. He is in the car hauling business. He's struggling, and he can't teach, for example, right? And he's struggling, but then I couldn't do it trucking, but I'm good at teaching people, and this is why we have more than 20,000 people, right? So, and obviously, these people are not just people just, I want to do this business. I don't know anything about this. Although we have those people, but mainly people that are coming into our world, they're carriers, they're owner operators, they're drivers, maybe wives of owner operators. They somehow maybe interacted or attracted to the trucking. Like, I want to do this. Mainly they are carriers. So you guys know the drilling that at the end of these live training videos that we do every Tuesday, we do 10, 15, 20 minutes of Q&As. This is where I'm like open to you. It's just a free training. Ask me whatever you want. Anything from mistakes, anything from buying a truck, anything you ask. In last video we did about eliminating the brokers, working directly with shippers. And I want to just point something really, really important, that we do have emails. I can show it to you if you wanted to. Last time I did share, and I have no problem sharing. And there are people saying that, hey, you just, like, you can't do that. It's illegal. You don't know what you're teaching. So I was kind of confused when one of my team members shared this email, forwarded to me, and said, this person says this. What do you think? I said, what about? Well, she says that, it's illegal to do that. You must use brokers. I was like, well, first of all, I think she misunderstood. If she can go back to the video, let her watch again, that video on Tuesday was specifically for carriers. Carriers working with direct shippers, there's no problem. If their independent freight dispatcher come into play, there is a problem. And I say that clearly. So if that person watches right now, and I'm saying that, listen, I agree with you in a sense that if you are an independent freight dispatcher and you want to go and talk to shippers, that's illegal. That's illegal to go and say, hey, I'm a dispatcher and I have carriers. Let me connect you and let's eliminate brokers. That's illegal. You can't do that. One more time, it's illegal. If you want to do this, you must have a broker license. I think she missed the point, but then if she's watching, just remember, I did not say that independent freight dispatchers go out there, work with shippers, and get carriers, and this is how we do business. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So I teach people the right way, and I think it's already, I think we have a proven record, and like DAT is one of the biggest companies out there. They trust us. If like, they're part of our groups, they're part of the training. If they're like, hey, Kamal, you're teaching this and it's illegal, then we could easily figure that out, that hey, this is not the right way to teach. That video was specifically for carriers. Carriers, they own their own MC numbers, their own authorities. If you have your own authority and you can go and work directly with shippers, and you're not, and you just like avoid working with, or just eliminate the broker. And I was fascinated. What we did receive a couple of emails. In one of the emails, it says that you can't work, if you're a carrier, you can't work with shippers. You must work with brokers. I thought it was a joke. I thought this must be a broker. Is just joking with me. Then when emailing back and forth, then I realized that this person, that serious. Like, no, you can't. As a carrier, there's FMCSA. This is this rule, that rule. You can't work direct shippers. What? Like, how come? Brokers, they don't own trucks, but they have broker MC, and they can connect with carriers. And you own a truck, you have a policy, and you can't work with direct shippers. Is that what you're saying? And then I realized that obviously maybe this person is new into the trucking. Maybe this person, it's not well informed or something like that. And that's the reason why we do this video, so people can learn. Let me start taking questions and see what we have. So Camille says, I wanted to dispatch, but a lot of business want experience, which I don't have. What should I do? When you well, first of all, that's a great question. So if you don't have an experience, I really wanted to challenge you a little bit when you said a lot of um, businesses out there, they need experience. They will require experience if they're not in pain. And here's what I mean by saying that. If I have 4 trucks and I'm in the flatbed market and I have my dispatchers, everything is fine, everything's cool, and then you reach out to me. I'm not into the market looking for a dispatcher. Maybe by now you get the idea. We're just not right fit. You just called me, emailed me. I'm just ignoring. Like when you called me, I was like, listen, if you have an experience, we can talk. But if you don't, what can I do for you? Right? Why? Because I'm not into the pain. Imagine a different scenario where I do have 4 trucks and like I need independent for a dispatcher or a dispatcher just today. Like I need that person. And you called me. Do you think I'll ask for an experience? They won't, or I won't. Why? Because I need you. If I just hire you, I can teach you whatever you need. That's how it works. But then my question to you is, if you are a dispatcher, and how come you don't have experience? That's maybe a question to think about. Then maybe you can ask, like, we can talk and say, come on, listen, when you become a nurse and you just right off, out of gate, you have your diploma, but you don't have your experience, right? That's maybe, I think that's the logical argument saying, hey, I know stuff, but I don't have experience. So what I'm hearing you saying that maybe you never dispatched a load. That's what it is, right? So my best when you said, what should I do, and this is what you can do. When you became basically dispatch, meaning you know how things works, but you never done it. That's basically what you're saying. Then also, I'm not saying that to go ahead and create the business and do this. No, I'm just saying if I were you, this is what I would have done it. Like this is how I would have done it. How? I'll just go and start implementing what I know and learn as I go, because I now have, although this knowledge is experience, I have some experience. The only thing is just the implementing part of it, right? So you start implementing. So um let me just, I think, yeah, it's a great question. Let me close this real quick. Awesome. So I hope you got the idea, right? So this is how it works. So by doing it, that's what I meant. Let me take Kevin's question real quick. How can we negotiate with brokers in this environment where there are so many other carriers willing to take cheap freight? Kevin, this been going on for many many years, and then carriers out there who take cheap freight, and why they do that? One is that they have lower cost per mile, right? That's the thing. So some people maybe paid off. And I'll give you an example. One of my brothers, he's an owner operator, and he paid off his truck and trailer paid off. The only thing, well, obviously he has some expenses, but think about it's much much lower now. Just fuel, the eating, the tire, and then if something breaks, then he must fix. That's basically an expense that he has. So, and another guy, think about, he still makes payments, and think about. I'll just compare as with the dollar amount. Let's say a carrier or owner operator with an expense of, let's say, $6,000 per month, not including fuel, not including how much he gets paid from his business, but then think about just the fuel cost, truck trailer cost, those kind of things. Let's just throw a number and make it easy. It's, let's say, 5K, right? Although it could be higher or lower, just saying. And then this guy, he just like need a couple grand for his for his fuel, and he doesn't have $2,000 $3,000 per month just for truck, and then another $1,000 for his trailer, and then the insurance, it's huge, right? So this guy obviously will pick whatever the loads they are. He just like, I want to move, right? And there are a lot of scenarios like this. In last video that I did is like, if you are a carrier, I would highly recommend working directly with shippers. And not many shippers, by the way, don't take me wrong, there are not many shippers out there that they will be giving you the best price you have. It's all about the tender. It's all about the negotiation. It's all about, are we a right fit? Are you ready to haul my freight? A lot of things going into this. We just like 30,000 foot view or bird eye view. We're talking about direct shippers, but there are a lot of things go into this. So working with direct shippers, let me give you an example. Although I highly recommend carriers working directly with shippers, think about what will happen is that when shipper has X amount of dollars, and if you're not willing to take it, where do you think that load goes? To the load board. And it pushed to the load board, and then now it's available on the load board. On top of that, then the broker wants to get his cut, and then this is like, oh wow, now it becomes really, really cheap. So you got the idea, right? But it's been for many, many years, like, hey, I don't want to take this. I will just wait. Maybe this broker called me and said, hey, come on, take this load, and then you see the boom, that load is gone. Man, I have expenses. I must move. And then this guy, he doesn't. He just took it and just go. That's one reason. The second reason, obviously, we've been talking about just for an hour now, is like, hey, some people just don't operate the way it should be. It's just like take, move, and at the end of the month, they're like, oh wow, I lost money, right? So hope that helps. Let me see. Can US-based dispatcher work with Canadian carrier? I never had this question before. So where this question leads to, is it like you're talking about the legal side of it? Like, hey, I want to know the legal side of this. Can US-based dispatcher can work with Canadian? Is that the question? So I know the one thing is that when I say independent freight dispatcher all over the world, if they have an internet, if they have this, and some people just get really confused. Maybe they don't know business, and they may be really scared of the, I don't know, legal complication of this. There may be consequences or something like. Listen, don't call yourself independent freight dispatcher. Just, you are a service provider. There are a lot of people all over the internet, including myself, we buying and selling services. For example, let's say if I need copywriting, and my copywriter, she's from from Europe, right? From that's what I'm trying to say. So it's overseas, right? And then let's say my funnel builder, she's from Philippines or something like that. But then she has a service that's selling to me. And then let's say in Canada, maybe I have a lawyer that he helps me run my trucking business here. It's like what you're looking for when you say like, can US based dispatcher work with Canadian carrier? Is it like legal side of it? Do you really looking for like how we can structure it? That we need like more clarification on this. So when you said US based dispatcher, do you mean independent freight dispatcher, or just a truck dispatcher working for a carrier? Or it's just a person, you are a Canadian carrier and you want to hire a dispatcher in the US? Then my question will be to you will be, what if this dispatcher, he's not US based, but maybe he's in Europe? Can you do that? Like, if I can ask this, like switching the gears a little bit and perspective, and think about that perspective, can you hire a dispatcher from, let's say, from Bangladesh or from Pakistan, from India? Can you do that? Right? So if that person, sells you the service, why not? So if that person, so I think you got the idea, right? So I do see you have a question. Let me see. Can Canadian carrier pick load in USA? Here's the deal. Canadians can pick load in the US and deliver in Canada. That's what I know. Maybe I'm wrong. Just do the research, because I don't haul from Canada and we don't deliver in Canada. It's just like pick US and deliver in US. So do your own research, but this is what I know. Right? I had a brokers and I asked them, and then that's what I have. Canadian carrier coming from Canada with the load, let's say delivered in Houston. That carrier can pick a load in Houston and go back to Canada and deliver there. Then yes, no problem. If the from carrier from Canada picked a load and delivers in Houston and picks another load in Houston and delivers in, let's say, in North Carolina, that's illegal. That can't do that. Right? So if you're like, why? It's just all about compliance, regulations. Just do more research. That's what it is. Okay. So I hope you get answer to your question. So that's how it works. And again, since I'm not working with like delivering in Canada, picking up loads in Canada, and I never work with Canadian carriers, just this is basically like based on my research. So please do your own research. So I hope this gives you something. So brokers are saying that they are making only $50 a load. They say shippers are not paying. Do you think that is true? So, well, it's yes and no, and I'll give you proper response for this. Um, Brokers saying that they're making less, brokers always cry, right? So always complain, hey, we're not making any money, we're not making any money. Although it could be true, but then majority of them, they're making money. They are in the business to make money. But if the broker, you're talking to a broker, and this broker connected with the shipper that pays less, and obviously can go millions in millions different directions, is what about the lane? What you're hauling? Is it the long distance? Is it the short distance? Is it confined in just one state, meaning intrastate, or is intrastate? There are a lot of questions can go into this, but then if the broker has the shipper that pays less, then obviously there's not much money to make, right? So, but then the majority of brokers, they're working with shippers, and shippers, they understand the process, right? If I'm paying this, and they're well aware of what carriers taking, what brokers are making, they know that, right? They're not blind, they're not stupid, they are in business and they know, and it's because it's part of the expense they have. So if the broker makes $50 on this particular load, maybe he's making $500 or $600 on a different load. So that's how it goes. Even some brokers may say they're breaking even, they're not making any money. That could be true. Yeah. Why? Because if they lose on this, because they didn't do a great job of assigning this, they're like, hey, I'm not going to take any money from it. This is what, shipper pays. Just take it and deliver. That might be true because he was waiting for that carrier who can pick this load, but nobody picked it up because it was cheap. And that's what happens. But then another scenario, even more, there will be brokers that they're losing money. How? For example, shipper gave the load for, let's say, for 3,000 from point A to point B, and this broker hold for about 2 days at not assigning, and then now this shipper pushes him like, hey, why you did not assign this load and it hasn't been delivered? My customer is calling me. What are you thinking? Just you need to assign this load. And then what will happen is that in that's it. He hold on to this load and he's not assigned, and nobody taking it, and he will add his own money out of his own pocket. Although it happening here and there, but that's true. A lot of my friends, told me that they will do that. It was like, if there's 3,000, nobody picks up, and it will give maybe $500 so that you can pick up, so that we can move this load. Why? Because he doesn't want to lose the relationship with the shipper. So you got the idea, right? So it can go many different ways, right? So trucking is very confusing. So work with the brokers, build the relationship with the brokers that they pay you good, they make a little bit money, but then they really into relationship, It's not going to happen, I think, with the mega brokers out there. They're greedy, in my opinion, right? So then, yes, it can go in a million ways. This is why I said maybe yes, maybe no, right? Okay, so let's take this. Can US based dispatcher work with Canadian carrier? Kamal, I think he wanted to tell you if a dispatcher located in USA, if he can work with a carrier located in Canada. Thank you, thank you, and it helps. Okay, and so think about if I'm in independent freight dispatch, if I have a um, let's say a company in the US, and the compliance, everything is good to go. Now you are a Canadian base, and now the problem that I have is just like, yes, I'm focused, and I'm the 99%, 99.99% I focus on the US market, right? So now I have problem with you if you're a Canadian market. And to if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, thank you for clarifying this. It You can pick a load in Canada. Let's say if I can help you do that, you can pick the load, but then you come back and you pick a load here, but you can't deliver in the US. You can't do that. So if you can't do that, we're not making any money. So if you're not making any money, you don't want to work with me, and I'm not going to work with you. So there's no value in partnering because I'm not serving Canadian market, I'm serving US market. And one of the reasons is that, well, I don't know Canadian market, but I know, US market, and this is where I serve. So in this is complicated because maybe you're thinking like, Kamal, if you can, I can find load in Canada, you can find me load in the US. I'll just pick and drop and then go back. You can do that, but then we're not making any money with this, right? So I don't know. It's just a volume. That's what the carriers, I mean, the dispatchers get, paid, and obviously, um, for you as a carrier or owner operator, you want make money. If you just pick a load and deliver in US, and you pick another load and you're going back to Canada to deliver, you don't want to share your revenue. You can do that yourself. So if you have a huge company, I don't know, 50, 60 trucks, and you're looking for dispatchers or help in dispatchers, yeah, let's talk. Let's see what we can do. Other than that, we're focused on specifically on the US market. And because you can't pick a load and pick a load in the US and deliver in the US, you can't do that. And that's, I think, the limitation we have. So hope this answers your question. So Kevin says, can partials be more profitable than one pick, one drop? Right off the get, yes. 100%. I was there. I did that. Yes. Multiple stops along the route. Okay, do you teach this in your course or have experience with this partial approach to increase revenue? Yes, I do teach. Actually, I encourage my students do partial loads. This is huge, and I have a lot of rate confirmation that I can share. You can pick, see the locations, how much we picked, those kind of things. Yeah, like if you were my student, I would just like, Kevin, do partials. Yes, absolutely. If you're already one of my students, just join the coaching program that we have tomorrow at 5 p.m. and I'll glad to answer your questions. So let's see. If you guys have questions, please let me know while I'm here. I'm glad you helped. Awesome. So let me know if you guys have questions, and if not, then we'll come back on Tuesday next week, and we'll